We can hear you. We can hear you,
but
but not see anything from your screen.
Okay. So the screen sharing is not working. And I know that the recording just, we were having issues with that, but now it's recording. So let me try and share it again and see if it comes through.
still not seeing anything.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay, technical difficulty. Sorry about that. Bumped me out. So let me go back to our slideshow here. Great, now it's working. Thank you guys for your patience. So yeah, super excited to have you here. We are going to talk about lead generation today. I know that you've gone through your first few two as a real estate expert, sparking your career, defining your values, and now we get to jump into the lead generation. Who's excited to be here today? Fantastic. Lead generation is one of my favorite things. I loved doing lead generation because there are so many different ways to lead generate, right? We all have different personalities. We all have a different sphere of influence, and we're going to talk about prospecting versus marketing, a lot of great things. The first thing that we are going to do is talk about, going to go over today's agenda and what you're going to learn. So we're going to talk about you as the lead generator. You know, when you got into real estate, it is a relationship business, and it is also the business of lead generation. That is your number one top priority as a realtor. It is what you do every day, is lead generation. We're going to talk about what the lead generation model is for successful agents, your sphere of influence, which you'll often hear of as referred to as SOI, not to be confused with your State of the Union address. Okay, that's often an SOI. So expanding your sphere of influence. And we're going to talk about lead gen best practices, a recap, and ahas, and then jumping into your success system. Okay. First up, you as the lead generator. So if you are familiar with Keller Williams, the MRE book, you'll see it in there. Let me let somebody in here. Gary Keller, he admits that lead generation was not his favorite thing. He didn't like it at all. And my fear of failure was greater than my fear of lead generating. And for him to, you know, admit that, Gary Keller still lead generates to this day. He puts 2 hours in his calendar every morning, and he is lead generating. And I love that he is an example of that for all of us, whether we're in a leadership or we are trying to build our business from the ground up as a new agent, or you've been in business for 16 years. You know, lead generation is where it's at. So we are going to learn how to lead generate, capture, and convert to appointments, present to the buyers and sellers and get agreement, show buyers and market sellers, write and negotiate contracts, coordinate the sale to closing, and then manage the money. You know, that is the cycle of real estate and the 6 core competencies of running a business. So lead generation is your number one job. It fuels the business, helping you reach your goals that you've set for yourself. And the more leads you have, the more business you're going to have, the more success you're going to have. So lead generation is going to include talking to people about buying and selling real estate daily, also investing, still a great time to invest, capturing accurate information on the people that you meet. So we're talking about getting not only their phone number, their cell, their email, as well as an address. Okay, we can find out from the address whether they're a renter, whether they're a home buyer. We can do research on that. And we can also market to them once we have their physical address in that way. We're also going to talk about how do we convert that lead to an appointment. And this is where you're going to find the active buyers and sellers. So we have everyone in our database. And what we're going to be doing is learning how to have that conversation, set the appointment, and agree to work together in buying and selling real estate. And if you look to your packet, the first page is going to talk about the lead, you as the lead generator. What are some of the the lead generation fears and myths? It's understandable there's a lot of fear around lead generating. Even though we all know it's the most important aspect of the business, a lot of people have some fear or some myths about what that looks like. And if we're honest with ourselves, who is having any of these thoughts right now as you're getting into the business? You're kind of feeling some of these fears and myths right now.
Totally.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Was that Nikki?
No, Deborah.
Deborah. Okay, great. I see some names, but not all the faces. So appreciate you stepping up, Deborah. One of the first ones, and I'm going to point out, do you all have the MREA, the Red Book, and the Shift Book? So I'll be referring to those throughout as well with some page numbers. So, there's a section that we're going through in Shift and on MREA right now about lead generation and the myths surrounding it. Lead generation is really difficult. I don't have time to lead generate. I don't know what to say, and I'm afraid of making mistakes. Guess what? They're the exact same fears that Gary Keller had when he was starting out in business. I had some of those same fears when I was starting out in business. It gets easier. You get better at it. And if you want to read more about it in Shift, you can look at page 52. So maybe jot that page down. Okay. Yeah, my computer's being a little bit slow. Okay. So thinking lead generation is really difficult. Confusing effort with enjoyment. Lead generation is actually easy. It's not fun. I don't have time to lead generate. I had an issue of making time to lead generate and protecting that time. And we're going to talk about time blocking, and that is like an immovable item on your calendar. When you time block your daily lead generation, that's your job. That's like showing up to your office, to your space, wherever you are lead generating. And that is the most important part of your day as a new agent. As any agent, but especially as a new agent right now, lead generation is your focus. Oops, somebody else is there. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Erin. And another one, I don't know what to say. And Gary shares that he had to get on the path of mastering the dialogue skills needed for the business. And are any of you participating in the 8 a.m. script class? Nope. Okay, so do y'all know that that's available to you? You can go to our network calendar, click on the link for the Zoom there. Super helpful. And I'm just going to speak just for a moment. Until you have the words yourself, using a script is an amazing way to pull out those golden nuggets. It gets you used to practicing amongst your peers, so you can really dial in and start to use it in your own words so that your comfort level shows up. And I don't know about you, but I would always like to practice on people I know and aren't going to judge me. They're actually going to help me level up and get better at what I'm doing. If you aren't practicing your scripts or dialogue with either a colleague or even a partner at home, your children, somebody, get that rhythm going, I highly encourage you to do so, because we don't want to be practicing once we're on the phone or we're in front of someone and then we stumble and we don't know what to say. We don't have the answers. So practicing is a huge, huge part of your lead generation. Another thing, I'm afraid of making mistakes. I found that lead generation is nothing more than a set of tasks and skills that are well documented. Okay, that's what Gary came to the conclusion of. And as far as making mistakes, guess what? The person on the other side doesn't know what you're supposed to say, right? It's just having a conversation. And as you practice those things of what you should be saying, what questions to ask, you're going to get really good at it. And it's just going to be an easy conversation flow, but it does take the practice. Finally, Gary discovered that this is one of my favorite things. I have to remember this. So Gary says it's time on task over time. Okay, that's the simple secret to success. I'm not patient as a person naturally, so I just want it to happen right away. If I'm doing the things, I just want it to happen, right? What I will tell you with lead generation, it really is time on task over time. It's time blocking. It's setting that as the most important, doing the things. You may not have success immediately. I encourage you to track your numbers, and that's part of what they'll talk about in future Ignite classes with you. But I can tell you from experience that time on task, doing the right things consistently, is really going to bring you the results over time. Okay. And if we look at your participant guide, the lead generation is the #1 key item of being successful in real estate. It doesn't matter how great you are at selling houses. If no one knows you're actually in the business of real estate and selling houses, they're not going to feel connected to you in a way that's going to make them reach out. Okay, so we don't want secret agents. Okay, if you're not comfortable having conversations with people and just initiating it or telling them what you do, it's really about asking questions. And you can do that by wearing your real estate pin or a real estate shirt, baseball cap. If you just want to kind of do that in a passive way initially, it doesn't have to just be, hi, I'm Serena and I'm a real estate agent. People will ask you questions. You already have 2 key components to your lead generation: your sphere of influence, as we call it, your SOI, and a database. Okay, who here has heard of a sphere of influence before? Do you know what it is? Deborah, can you answer that for us?
It is the people that around you that you know already.
Exactly. Thank you for that. It's a group of people they trust you already. Therefore, they're the people who are most likely going to do business with you and also refer business to you while you're growing your real estate career. And how do you access this group? Where does your database currently live? For most of you, where are you finding your sphere of influence lives in your world?
My phone.
Social media.
Yep. Your phone, your social media. I love that. It's all there digitally. Okay. We are going to look at how many people do we actually know, so that we can look at our sphere of income opportunity. And what we're going to do is a little example. So you have this chart in your book, and I want you to write down your numbers. This is an example. Okay. So even if you were to just look at your phone at contacts and you scroll down to the bottom of that, for those of you that have your cell phone there, you might be surprised at how many people are actually in your phone that you don't consider necessarily in your database, but they are people that you know, that you're doing business with, that they're your friends' parents, your children's parents, etc. So if you get out your phone and you go down to the bottom, you're going to find the total number of contacts in your phone. I want you to write that number on line A. Number of contacts in your phone. And according to I'm going to give you some stats, a little bit boring, but bear with me. So according to the National Association of Realtors, the typical person moves every 8 years, and that's an average. Okay. So it can be anywhere from like 5 to 10, but they're saying the average is 8 years. And according to the 2020 census, home ownership rate in the US was at 64.8%. Okay, about 2/3. So we can assume that 2/3 of your database is a homeowner, and they're likely to move every 8 years. This means about 8%, okay, of your database will buy, sell, or buy and sell every 8 years. So we're going to use these numbers to figure out how many people you already know that might be buying and selling. And this is a standard calculation. So for example, at 250 people in the phone, our potential opportunity for closing at that 0.081% is about 20. Now the potential referrals is going to be about 10%. Okay, so that's 25. There's Nikki. I can see your face now. Total potential, and that's B plus C, is 45. The average commission at 5,000, and that's kind of low, right? Because we know our average sales price right now here is about, it's dipped just a bit, it's about $495 blended for Eugene Springfield area. So that's going to be closer to like a 12.5. Okay. And what your potential income opportunity is off of that. So let's assume that the number of people in your sphere of influence, 10% of them refer a client to you this year. Does that seem doable? 10% of your database referring one client to you? That more than double. Do you see your potential from people already in is an average of 20. But when you add that all the people you know may refer somebody to you, that's actually a higher number, right? So referrals is a really good opportunity for your business. We're going to take a minute here for you guys to calculate that number for yourself. Has anybody done the math?
I just finished mine.
Okay, and what number are you coming up with?
Are you asking my income opportunity or just?
Yes, when you do that, what's your total income opportunity? Well, first, if you want to share all the information,
Sure.
you can. Yeah,
Yeah,
so the number of contacts.
174 contacts.
Okay,
So that leaves me about 14. It was just over 14. So I rounded down potential closing opportunities, potential referrals, 17. So 31 total opportunities with the average income at 5,000. I'm up in Portland, Hillsborough area, so I don't know how much that changes, but I just decided to go with the 5,000, and so that's income opportunity about 155,000.
great.
Which is
How do you
well
feel?
over my first year, written goal. So that kind of was like an aha for me.
I love that. I love that. So what was, if I can ask, what's your written goal? Is it like double that or? Like
my income goal for my first year, because I'm a brand new agent, it was 125,000. So
125. Okay, so you're not too far off that first goal, but does that an aha make you feel a little bit better that, hey, out of 174 people that I know, and that percentage that may use me this year, and the referral opportunity, and guess what? It's not going to happen by magic. We need to get comfortable asking those that know and love us, that are already in our world. We can get comfortable asking them if there's anyone that they know, and we'd be honored if they would keep us in mind, right? There's huge opportunity there. So I love that. You didn't pop up on my screen. So who shared that?
yeah, this is Daniel. Sorry.
Daniel, thank you. The little green box went away. Not everybody is on my screen right now. So thank you, Daniel. Anybody else want to share their numbers?
I'll share mine. I
Okay.
just now did it.
Thanks, Nikki. Go ahead.
So I have 170 contacts in my phone. I had to go through and filter a little bit, get rid of all the real estate agents that I have. But 170 contacts in my phone. The potential closing opportunity from contacts was 14. My potential referrals was 17. And then I did average commission of like a $450,000 house and 2.5%. So that was 11,250. which made my income opportunity $348,750.
All right. How do you feel about that?
Honestly, it seems completely unattainable.
Okay, so that is basically 31 transactions, right? 14 and
Yeah.
17, so 31 transactions. And Nikki, what is your goal for this year for yourself?
18.
18, okay. All right, so what is 18 times 11,250?
Hold on. I'll do the math.
Yep,
Oops. 202,500. So 202,500.
okay. So your goal is 18, and based on this database calculation and working just within your sphere of influence and the referral option, because I think a lot of people forget about that. You know, it's not just who we know, it's who they know.
Mhm.
And being in relationship with them enough that they love and trust you and want to share that with the people that they know, that makes that very attainable, right?
Seems a little bit more realistic for sure. For me, for this year.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I like that. So it's great because a device you already use daily has the potential to really become a powerful business tool for you and help launch your career. Is there anyone else who wants to share their numbers before we move on? Okay. So your sphere of influence is your database. All right. We've already covered how many people you have on your phone and how many potential sales they represent. And what we're going to do is talk about social media, because that's another potential database, as Deborah brought up. I believe it was Deborah. Thank you. So social media is huge. If we look at our friends list just on Facebook, is it more than you have in your phone? Mm-hmm. Yep. And then how many people, if you're sharing amongst your friends and you comment on something, how many people then potentially see your posts or your comments or your shares? You know, it's really a powerful tool on social media. We're going to be in relationship with our contacts in a professional sense, and we need to have them organized and accessible in a smart database. So though your phone might be smart, it's unlikely that it's truly a database for you yet. Okay, so today we're going to touch a bit on how we feed our database. And in the next section of Ignite, you're going to learn how to cover how you make your database smart. Okay, we all know about Command, and it has the smart plans. And even though our phone is smart, it's not going to do the same thing, but it's a starting point. It's a jump off point for our contacts. How many people, if any, have imported their contacts into their Command database?
I'm building my database, so I haven't imported it, but I am adding everyone into my database as I go. And I went through my phone and my social media and added those people too. I just didn't do it as an import.
Great. And so you're doing that through an Excel file, Deborah?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Great. Anyone else? You've either started creating that database in Excel or you've already imported it.
I've imported my database that I had already from my previous brokerage, but I haven't actually gone through and added every single person in my phone or on my social media. So I might do that.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely, there's an aha moment maybe for you, because what we had and what we truly have, all of those people, they are part of your sphere of influence. So getting them into your smart database so you can start communicating and connecting with them on a level that makes sense. Daniel, how about you? Have you started on your database yet?
Yes, I have not imported anything. I do have it on the Excel spreadsheet, started to anyway. And so I think I just answered my question. There's probably a way to just import the whole thing instead of entering them one by one manually.
Yes, there's definitely a way. And if you in Command, there's an import button. But if you're having challenges with that, we do have our leverage team up in the Portland office that can help with that. Typically, if it's under 300 contacts, you know, it's an easy button for them to do. You're not going to do the import frequently. So learning how to do that might not be worth your time, right? If it's something you want to learn, great. But otherwise, there's a magic, automatically can make that happen. All right. So what we are going to do now I think we kind of jumped ahead of the screen as far as ahas, as far as, you know, we have X amount of people in our database, but we know a lot more based on what we found in our phone and in our social media site. So I love that you guys are going to be working on uploading those contacts into your either already in Command or to your file that you're building in Excel so you can get all of those people imported. The path to self-mastery takes time, and learning new habits and skills takes time. So the time that it takes to acknowledge the journey you're on, and we want to celebrate those small wins, okay, along the way, and getting your people imported into your Command Smart database, that's going to be a huge win. So when you guys do that, be sure that you share that with your coaches and your teachers as you're going through the Ignite process, because that's a big celebratory item, because that gets you to the next stage. Okay. All right, now we're going to talk about having a database, the sphere of influence. We're going to dig into the most important model in your business, and that's actually the lead generation model. So lead generation, you're going to hear over and over again throughout your career, because it really is the most important activity that you do in real estate. It's the first thing you need to know how to start your real estate business. And it's the last thing you're going to give up doing yourself as you grow and maybe decide to build a team, or you're going to leverage, right? And I want you to think about that. What we're learning today is the foundation for $1 million, multi-million dollar, even $1 billion business. You know, it's definitely a $1 billion industry. And this is the foundational item for you guys to be able to grow whatever type of business that you want, whether you're selling one house a month or you want to sell 100 houses a year. The foundation is all the same, and it's about lead generation. So that's why it's really important as you're going through these to do your success, you know, the pathway that you have for your success system, the daily success system, and following up with your coaches and being accountable to your peers for your path. It's going to take you to the next level quicker. Okay, let's dig into our lead generation model. Okay. So as you learn Keller Williams, we have a model for everything, right? You guys have heard the acronyms, the models, the tools, and we like to line this out. We're going to go deep because it might look complicated as you're looking at this, but really it's about relationships. You're in the relationship business, like we talked about earlier. The more relationships you have, the more access to business you have. So the model's going to tell us how to get in relationship with people and stay in relationship with them. And you want to be the expert of a choice for your sphere of influence. And then in that relationship, they are also going to be referring you business. So we're going to take each step of this, and we're going to talk about the difference between prospecting and marketing. And in MREA, okay, your red book, MREA, page 138, 139, it actually goes through the prospecting and the marketing. There is a difference, but these are your lead generation activities that deliver most of the leads into your business. So what we're going to do, the database allows you to track that. And as you can see at the top of the model, those two differences, the prospecting and the marketing, are the two different activities. You can never have too many leads, and a lot of leads or quantity of leads gives you a good quality to go on. In the prospecting versus marketing. Okay. Prospecting takes time, less money. Marketing is going to take more money and less time. Okay. And typically with your prospecting, you're going to be proactive with it. You're actually doing something and you're going to get more of an immediate result. When you're marketing, you're spending money on items. It's more passive. It's not necessarily taking your time. It's something your money is allowing you to do. And they're long-term results. So it's best practice to lead generate through both a prospecting and a marketing, having a blend. Okay. And with prospecting, as we said, it's a low cost to no cost method. You can do prospecting free, a lot of them, the activities. You're going to yield a quantity of leads, which in turn gives you quality leads. It establishes personal relationships and it keeps you in direct contact with the market of the moment. It's also going to increase your skills because you're actually in conversation with other people that are looking to buy and sell. It's putting you in front of your sphere of influence directly when you are doing the prospecting. When you're doing marketing, it's going to be more information that you're putting in front of them that is more passive. You're not actually in relationship and having conversation or building anything with them. It's information that you might be sending them via email or a mailer, circle prospecting around an open house, things like that. Social media, for example. Okay, and we're going to talk more about that in upcoming sessions about opportunities for you to leverage your marketing and prospecting. This is just the overview. So the market, your preferences, your budget, your goals, all of these things are going to dictate what type of lead generation you employ. And most of the time, it's going to be, like we said, a combination of both prospecting and marketing. You've heard before, if you haven't, we like you to lead with revenue. So we don't want you going, bankrupt trying to do all this marketing when you haven't even gotten maybe your first commission check, right? We want you to look at what your budget is. You all know that what your goals are, and you want to come up with your budget for your prospecting and your marketing. Again, it's time when you're prospecting and it's how much money when you're marketing. And your partners, I want to also remind you that if you are getting into some of the marketing, to be sure to use your allied partners. Many of you have probably been contacted by lenders and title, having conversations with them about how they can partner with you with your marketing plan is a really good idea. Okay, lenders are able to do up to 50%. And so I just want to throw that little nugget out there so that you guys can have those conversations with them and see how to maximize that for both your benefits. They are your partner in business, part of your team. So top agents are going to track their most productive lead sources. Typically, it's your sphere of influence, repeat business from your clients, the referrals that they give you from your sphere, and online advertising, direct mail, sign calls, yard signs, that type of thing. There is no single approach or method that's going to bring you all the leads. So if you guys are thinking, hey, I'm just going to do this, one is not enough. It will not sustain your business. So no matter your approach, you should always be offering some form of value in exchange for information. And that information is what you need to continue the relationship. Okay, so we always want to come with something of value. We're informing them of something. You're not going to rely, like we said, on a single lead. We call it the three-legged stool. Okay, so one is not enough. 5 is too many. Three-legged stool is pretty perfect. It's solid and it's getting you in. So there's all the shiny objects, especially as a new agent. There's so many things. And as soon as people know that you are in real estate, you're getting hit on social media a lot too, probably with DMs and different ads that are marketed to you. Just a note of caution, you've probably heard this already, but as we dig into lead generation, just be careful about who you're giving money to and what you're signing up for, because a lot of those aren't necessarily effective. And you have powerful systems at your fingertips through Command and everything that Gary and the team have put together for you. So we want you to start off there. In Ignite, we're really going to focus on mainly your prospecting, because we know successful lead generation is prospecting based, and it's also less expensive. It protects your business when the market's down, because when the market's down in a shift like we're experiencing right now, we look at how can we cut our expenses. You should be focused on the money that is going out. So if you haven't gone through your budget and your expenses yet, I encourage you to do that so that you have a real good handle on what your finances look like and how much, if any, you're going to be putting into your prospecting and marketing. Again, that's where your lenders come in as a partner to help out with that. So we're going to really focus on how we prospect to our sphere of influence. And I'm going to catch up on the slides here. My computer's on a bit of a delay for some reason on your side, so bear with me. There we go. Okay. So a database is a container that holds the information for your leads and contacts. As you gather people's information through prospecting or marketing, you're going to have what we call, you've generated the lead, you've gotten their information. And the next step is to put that information into your database. Okay. And your database really is just a simple container that holds the information for all of your leads. And if you're looking for that cost-efficient tool for a smart database, like I said, we have you covered with a Command. Command's more than a database, though. It works from the beginning for your leads and creating your CRM, your database, your smart plans, all the way through the transaction, your advertising, your opportunities, which is tracking your listings and your buyers' contracts from start to close. And then it's the relationship management for keeping on top of those clients you're now in relationship with, providing information to them. It's fantastic. So I'm excited for you guys to get into Command. With that platform, you're going to have access to all the interconnected tools to support you from lead to close, all while maintaining relationships. That is the focus. It's not just a place that is standalone, just a database that doesn't do anything for you. Gary knows it's about creating relationships. And so Command has been created with that in mind to allow you to be in relationship with them. And through the smart plans, you can work on your lead generation, you can go out on appointments, you can be doing the real estate things while Command is working for you in the background to stay in touch with your database. Okay, it's going to provide you the ability to have planned and meaningful communication with those who are in your database and keeps you in relationship. So I love this. Nikki, you're going to hear this again because I already said it earlier in our Atomic Habits class, but think of your smart database as a data bank. Okay, instead of a database, a data bank, okay, because it's going to generate money for you. And anytime you think, oh, do I want to put them in my database? Yeah, you do. Are they breathing? Get them in your data bank. Don't make the mistake of, oh, I met that person, they're great, but guess what? They're just a waitress and they're not going to buy, making those judgments. They're not going to buy a house. Guess what? They might know somebody who is. And if you're awesome to them and they gave great service and you drop off your card and say, hey, I really appreciate the service you gave me today. I'd love to help you. Or if you have friends or family who are looking to buy or sell, I'd love to help them out and provide them the same service you gave me. Right? It's a simple conversation like that. So don't make judgments because many times I've gotten deals that way. Okay. They're like, oh yeah, my mom and dad are going to be moving, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's creating that relationship. You have opportunity when you're out and about. And that's getting into the people you haven't met yet outside of your database, so which you'll be covering. So I jumped ahead a little. All right. So we use the terminology of leads and contacts to categorize the people in our database. So far in your success system, you've been communicating with your sphere of influence and people who you know and know you. These are people you're in contact with who have given you permission to have two-way conversations. The leads are the people who've shown interest. Maybe they have come in through your social media, something like that. They've shown interest in your service and they have provided a way for you to contact them. Okay. However, they haven't engaged yet in a two-way conversation with you. So what are some examples of leads that you can think of? What would a lead be for you?
Are you talking outside of our SOI?
Mhm. Or you could have somebody in your SOI that you maybe haven't necessarily had that two-way conversation with yet.
I mean, it could be neighbors,
Mhm.
maybe the teller at the bank, the
Yeah.
guy that details your car. I mean, those are all spheres of, part of your sphere of influence, but maybe not necessarily people you thought about in regard of to reaching out about real estate.
Mhm.
Your local mailman or mail lady. I know mine by name, being in the same neighborhood for so long. So, I mean, kind of I think thinking outside of the box of the people that you come into contact with that you don't necessarily think about.
Yep.
Your
I love
your mom's best friend who you don't really know.
Exactly. Yep. The people we know but don't know, right? We might know their name, we might not, but we do know them through either, as Nikki said, somewhere in the community that we have connection with or through our sphere. So people you also follow on social media, people you've met in an open house, that's typically going to be a one-way situation. Our database is organized into the two buckets of leads and contacts because the way you communicate with each of them, you communicate with a contact that you actually have a relationship with maybe differently than you would a lead, right? And once you have a lead, you need to create a relationship with that person. Okay, that's your opportunity. So for contacts, you want to sustain and strengthen the relationship you already have in place. And that's just a little bit of an introduction to what sustaining relationships look like, since we really have a whole section on lead follow-up in Ignite that are going to dive deeper into this relationship and how to sustain those. So we see that as cultivating contacts for conversion. And when we say conversion, what we mean is to move them from a lead or a contact to an actual appointment. Okay, that's converting a lead or a contact to an appointment, and your client, converting them then to a client who has the intention to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. Okay. So each time you reach out to a person in your database, that communication is called a touch. Okay, a purposely planned series of touches is called a campaign. And a coordinated campaign of touches over time puts you front and center in people's minds when they think of real estate. It gives you what we call mind share. They're seeing your information all the time. And seeing those touches is how we nurture and strengthen the relationships. Having someone in your database does not make them a client. Reaching out to them consistently and systematically with a value and deepening your relationship through providing them the information, they're going to lead them. That's an opportunity for them to choose you and become your client. So one way to consistently and systematically reach out to your database is through these automated touches. And so when we talk about Command and a Smart Plan, those are automated touches. Now they're going to trigger emails, text messages, and then they can be set up that after so long, you're actually going to be triggered to make a phone call to them. And there are plans, people smarter than me all throughout our Keller Williams family nationally that have created smart plans in Command that you can go in and look at, find something that resonates with you and just tweak it with your information and put your clients on a database. And I'm not going to go too far into Command because it's very powerful. You can create tags like a hashtag for certain groups of people. So you can sort by those groups. You can assign whether it's an A client, B client, C client, or however you want to do that. Basically how hot they are. They're going to buy in the next, 30, 60, 90 days. They're going to buy in the next 6 months, or they're working on credit, they're going to be a year out. So first time home buyers, your listers, sellers, somebody who's selling. So there's a lot of ways to market appropriately. So not everybody is getting the same information, and you're going to learn more about that in the future. But with Command, you do have access to those smart plans and opportunities. And those are the tools that are going to automate the system for you, like we talked about earlier. So the final piece of the model is the client and referral loop. Once your database, once you have the lead converted to an actual contact, they're going to provide either new or repeat business, or they can provide referrals. Okay, so why do you think this part of the model is referred to as a loop? Talking about generating leads in the form of new, repeat, or referral. Why is that a loop?
Because you're likely to get more business from them. So whether they're new, repeat, or referral, I mean, it just kind of goes in a cycle. So, I mean, they're either going to refer you to people they know that need to buy, they're either going to use you again, or I don't know, if the experience isn't good or you weren't a good match, then, I mean, the loop doesn't, cycle through again. But generally, we're trying for people to either use us again or refer us to people they know.
Absolutely. That's not going to happen because we all provide excellent service, don't we? But I love that you threw that out there. That's part of this process of lead generating, and all the different ways to go about creating that is, we like to do business with people we like, right? And typically you're going to get in relationship with those people, and yes, they're going to become your clients. So it's basically regardless of the business that they bring to you or how long it takes them to bring you business, they're going to continue to stay in your database because it's your job to continue to build and develop that relationship over time. And when they're ready to transact either again or for the first time or provide you with information, you're still going to be top of mind. Okay, they could be in your database for 2 or 3 years before they finally trigger something, but it's a loop. And once they do business with you or refer to you, and it's a good experience, like Nikki said, it's going to continue, it's going to strengthen. So as you nurture your leads and contacts and continue to lead generate for new sources of business, you're going to be transacting between new, repeat, and or referral business. And it's the most important thing to remember is that lead generation is something, it never ends. Okay, you're always lead generating. It should be time blocked, as we talked about earlier. Most people are going to be doing that 2 to 3 hours a day. Okay, that's the recommended. And we're going to go into that in a future Ignite as well with your time blocking. But 2 to 3 hours a day right now, because it is the most important thing to get you the business in this shifting market. Lead generation is also something that determines the size of your business. And it's the how that's going to help you reach your goals and starting your career off on the right foot. If you have 10 people in your database, do you think that's enough to get you started on your career? If you have 174 people in your phone and you have 1,200 people on your social media, do you think there's opportunity to get some of those people into your database and start marketing to them through Command instead of just an occasional Facebook post or something like that? So there's opportunity. So, when we say import those people from your phone, also look at your social media and don't hesitate to reach out to them. Send them a message. Hey, I'm so excited. I am with Keller Williams now. This is what I'm doing. And I would love for you. And people like to give their opinion too. So if you're shy about it, say, I would love to send you some of the information that I'm putting together and I'd like your feedback on it. People like to give their opinion, and that's a way to get them in your database, and maybe they'll give you some great feedback. or maybe it'll trigger, hey, this is cool. I'm not moving, but so-and-so is moving from California to here, or something like that. So don't be too shy about that. So in our last section today, we are going to discuss, I lied to you, we're doing it today, the time blocking. Time blocking is one of my favorite things, okay? Time blocking and how we do that for lead generation. Before we move on to that though, are there any ahas that you guys have had so far in this section?
I like that there is in command samples of smart plans, because that's exactly what I was looking for today. So
Yay. That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that, Deborah. And did you search for something in particular?
No, I haven't. I was just getting ready to build a smart plan. And so before this class started, and so I was thinking, man, I wish I had a template. so now I know that I can go look at that. So it saved me a whole bunch of time.
That's fantastic. I'm glad that
Yeah.
you took the time to look, because there are so
Yeah.
many. There's some very powerful ones, and you can do a search for certain things. So if you're looking for something around specifically listings or buyers or open houses, you can put that keyword in and search just for that, and it'll come up and allows you to look at it, find one you like, copy it, and edit it so that it is your information.
Nice.
You can tweak it, but it does give you that suggestion, so you don't have to create it
Right.
from scratch. So I love that.
Totally. Yeah.
Good. Any other ahas? No. Okay, we're going to move on. So in previous sessions of Ignite, we've touched on your sphere of influence, and today we're digging deeper into why your sphere of influence is so important to your business. So your SOI is likely to be your biggest source of new, repeat, and referral business, and we're going to get into how. Okay, your sphere of influence, they're the people in your life that influence you and who you influence. They can be close relationships, like your close friends and family. They can also be more distant connections, like your child's friend's parents, a former coworker, a neighbor, a mom's friend from college. Like Nikki said, your post person. They can come from anywhere. Okay, that you don't have to be in close relationship with them to be in your sphere. It's important for you to connect with your current sphere systematically, efficiently, and effectively. We know we're going to get into that a lot over the rest of Ignite. So in order to get the most out of the follow-up, you want to get the most people in your database. That's why your database is so important. And that's why at the beginning of the class, I asked who is actually working on their database, because in order for you guys to get the most bang for your time, right? You're investing time right now learning through Ignite, is really focusing in on that database and getting as many people in there as possible, so that when you create your smart plans and you start reaching out to them, you're going to maximize on that. And then when you meet new people, that's your time to get them in there, their name, their phone number, their email, and if you have their address, that's fantastic. Okay, get that in there. And if you're not comfortable asking for their address, just let them know, that, hey, I'd really like to send you something. Do you mind giving me your address? And send them a thank you card. If you just met them somewhere, or if they provided you great service, or especially referrals, whatever it is, and get that information from them. So what we're going to do next is expand beyond your immediate relationships. And if you're following along in your guide, I apologize, I haven't been giving you guys your page numbers, but I think you pretty much know where we're at. So page 5.9 is your sphere of influence. And what we're going to do is expand your your sphere of influence by changing how you think about the relationships around you. We're going to look at these categories and see if we can expand, see if we can expand on them. And I know you have them written down too, so I'm not going to worry about that. So within the 15 categories, we're going to look at the roles and relationships you have in each category. What we're going to do is go over the categories quickly with an example. So for instance, number 9, professional services. That could be doctors, therapists, dog trainers, financial legal services. That could be your attorney, an accountant, a bank teller. Professional services like hair, nails, massage, a physical trainer, a babysitter. Okay, she has typically your babysitter has parents or grandparents, right? So it's still appropriate to have that conversation and get them in there. Real estate services, your allied partners, your photographers, your inspectors, appraisers, lenders, and any other small business that you utilize, your children, your grandparents, things like that. So what we're going to do is build your sphere of influence day by day. As you think of these categories, we're going to give you guys a couple of minutes to go through and write down some of the people you know within each of these categories. Okay, I want you to try your best to add at least one person to each category. So we're going to take just like a 2-minute break for you guys to go ahead and start writing those down. Okay, we're going to give you another minute. You guys have some names written down? I see y'all thinking hard. I love it. Okay, so I want you to take a look at your list and write down who you interacted with or spoke with during those moments. Who was the first person you interacted with? Did you have a conversation? What did you talk about? Who did you say hi to? Have you talked to your child's friend's mother at drop-off? Do you talk to your barista when you get your coffee? Do you say hi to your neighbor when you're walking your dog or anybody at the gym? Think about all those people you interact with. And once you've identified that, how can you deepen your relationship with those people? Could you have smiled at the neighbor and said, hey, we see each other every day and I don't know your name. I'm so-and-so. These are people that you are starting to create relationship with. It's a relationship business. It's not somebody you walk up to your neighbor that's walking your dog. Hey, I see you every day. Did you know I'm in real estate? So if you know somebody who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, please give me a call. No, that's not what we're asking you to do. We're just asking you to think a little bit further on those people that are not yet in your database that potentially could be if you see them on a regular basis and you start building that relationship with them, right? It's time to change the way you think about your days. You're not just out running errands. You're out there meeting potential buyers and sellers. You aren't just ordering coffee. You're creating a relationship with those people, okay? And your job's to meet and connect with people. And if you think about it, that's kind of fun, right? If you're not a people person and you got into real estate, I would ask you why you got into real estate, because real estate really is about the relationships and connecting with people, right? So this is just helping you think about not just my sphere and the people they know, but every day I have an opportunity to make a connection with someone, okay? And in the next activity, we're going to have a discussion with a partner to go over your daily activities. So, you know, when we did this in the last class, we kind of just shared amongst the group. It wasn't really a partner thing. So we're going to do it that way. The goal is to help each other identify places where you both might interact more with your sphere of influence. And so I want to find out if you guys can share who was able to name some people in those categories and be able to focus on adding those to your database. Did anybody come up with one name?
Well, I mean, I haven't written them all down yet, but before this, I was in insurance. So, and I still kind of keep a relationship with a lot of these people, which is going to be good, especially with, you know, sending them leads for homeowners insurance, and, you know, hopefully they reciprocate with myself. So I actually have two different, one coffee date and one for drinks this week, trying to get in touch with people who I used to work with in insurance.
That's fantastic, Daniel. That's a huge database right there, a huge way for a win-win. And I'm going to give you a tip too, because you probably are going to get referrals, right? You're going to send out and they're going to give you back. And here's the thing, we reward the action, not the result. So that's something I learned in the Brian Buffini system, right? So if somebody gives you a referral, and I'm just sharing this because I had a conversation with another agent who had gotten a couple of referrals from an allied partner, and there's opportunity there. Somebody's bringing somebody to you. That's huge, right? Because they're a connector for you. That is the best lead generation out there. So that information is reward the action, not the result. So immediately, if somebody gives me a referral, they get a thank you card. If I know them and I'm really in a relationship with them, I know if they have a favorite restaurant, or if they like Human Bean or Starbucks or Dutch Brothers, you know, I know where they want coffee. I'm not shy about asking, you know, if I know they're a movie buff and they like to go to movies, I'll get them a movie card, something. It doesn't even have to be of great value, but people like to be appreciated, right? And if you get a referral like that, whether it turns into something or not, they thought of you. And that's huge. Some agents getting new into the business, they may make the mistake and they think, oh, that's great, that's so awesome, thank you, but they don't actually follow it up with a true thank you, right? And so that's one tip for you. But yeah, that's a great opportunity.
I'm a real estate photographer and a drone pilot, and before I became licensed, I did a lot of work for sale by owner people, and I've kept in touch with them. And so, and I always give them a really nice little picture of their property when I do it, that's printed, you know, that. And so I have a couple of names there that I've kept that I can add to my list.
I love that. Fantastic. All right, who else found a few names or category? Maybe it just brought an awareness to you that, yeah, I need to ask my barista and get in contact, or a child's friend, you know, somebody that you do with sports or church or something. Anybody else add some names? More than one, more than two? Skylar, Kevin, I can't see either of you, but you're on the call. How did you guys do?
I added a couple. I wouldn't say it's much different than Daniel's. I have a friend who's a mortgage broker, and we've had some conversations, and sounds something similar. We're both going to ideally send each other business when we can. So I've noted what you said, and I think that will help.
Great. Thanks for sharing. Skylar, how about you?
I am Skylar. You just spoke with me.
Oh, I thought that was Kevin. So sorry.
No worries. No worries.
Kevin, are you there? No. How about Nat?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, Nat. How is that exercise for you? Did you identify some people that you might be able to add?
Yeah, it's super helpful to think about, especially those who I see on a semi-regular basis, like doctors and dentists and folks like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually adding a lifelong friend to my database right now who I kind of just we're on constant contact via text. I just never thought to add him to my database.
I love that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Good for you. And I know sometimes, the people that we know, it's like, well, I already know them and they know what I'm doing, but
Right.
taking it that next step. And again, with people like that, I say, hey, I'd love to have you get some of my stuff that I send out. And if you have feedback, bring it on. Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's just a great way to make it feel comfortable. I did that because I felt a little uncomfortable. I didn't want to bother people, right? Who has that idea? We don't want to bug people and we don't want to be that person. So coming from value is a really good thing. So great. Thanks for sharing that. You guys are doing awesome. All right, let's move along. So, bear with me, my computer's catching up here. I truly apologize for that. For some reason, there's a delay, and if I click too much, it zooms past, and then there's a huge delay. But what we're going to talk about is in the last exercise we saw, sometimes we just need to think about things from a different angle to achieve more. And you found that there were more members that you could put into more contacts into your sphere of influence simply by viewing them into different categories of people that you know, or like Nat did, hey, this is somebody I'm in communication with on a regular basis, and they're not in my database. So at Keller, we have a coaching program called BOLD. If you haven't heard of it, you're probably going to have an opportunity to experience at some point. I know that here in our network, we are going to be hosting it at the Eugene Springfield office in the springtime. BOLD stands for Business Objective, a Life by Design. Okay. It's one of the great things about BOLD is that it helps you to create a mindset of abundance and growth. Okay. BOLD helps you shift your mindset using what we call BOLD laws. And this is one of those laws. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Okay. When you change, I don't know why it says when you change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. So the two should be a you. Sorry for the typo. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. So what you just did with those 15 categories, it was just a simple example of how changing the way you look at things changes. You changed and were able to find more people by doing so. And being a successful agent is about finding more people to help and serve in buying or selling homes. And that's the heart of it for me. And I love how that's stated. It's finding more people to help and serve, because that's what we do, right? When we come from a place of contribution and that we are helping them and we are serving them in our community, it's the biggest thing that they do as far as expense wise in their life. And sometimes, get ready to put that, not just that realtor hat on. Sometimes we are their, psychologist, their counselor. We're talking about their finances. We wear a lot of different hats when we go through that process. And when we have that attitude of being there to help and be in service for them, and not just looking at as, there was a time where, and maybe still is, real estate and car salesmen, we're kind of in that same category, and we don't want commission breath, if you've heard that before. So we want to come from a place of help and service to them. Any other ahas about that, what we just did, and looking at people that we know and run into on a daily basis that we might not be best friends with, but yes, they're in our sphere, we can add them. If anything, did this help you become more aware? So as you move forward in real estate, you're going to start being more aware of those people you come in contact with? Yep. So I see Daniel saying yes.
The aha for me from earlier, which kind of probably ties into this a little bit, was the little, that little thing we did with number of contacts and phone. I mean, obviously I know that generating leads, you start there, but just doing that whole exercise and kind of breaking it all down really opened my eyes on, how much we can really make if, we use what we already have in front of us. So
Absolutely.
making new contacts and add them to your phone obviously is going to add to your bottom line.
Most definitely. Yep. And again, the aha, I think going through it just from a teaching standpoint too, it's that reminder that it's not just the people you really know, it's who they know. And if you're serving them at a high level, and if you're providing value and information, especially in a shifting market, if you become the economist of choice, if you're providing valuable information to them, when they hear of somebody in their sphere that's going to buy or sell, you're going to come top to mind, right? So on social, when you get into your smart plans, send out information that is actually valuable content that people can use. Don't be shy about doing a video, just a raw video of, hey, I'm on my way to an inspection today, or interview your lender, right? Interview your inspector. Take these opportunities to provide a value to them so that you are top of mind and you know what you're talking about, right? And as you're learning the real estate side of things, lean on other agents, interview other agents, get involved in your market center. But I love the interviews with your allied partners, your title, lenders, inspectors. Those are easy, comfortable, and it gets you out there as an expert. You don't have to know everything, but you know people who do, right? In their certain area. Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to share? All right. We are going to move on about why our sphere of influence is one of the most important lead generation systems that you have. I think we all know, but we talked about just how many people are already in our sphere of influence. We expanded it by shifting how we think about it, by talking about the referral opportunity. So it's really just like Daniel said, his aha, it's like, even though my sphere of influence and my database might not be huge, there's huge opportunity in that, right? And focusing on that while you're continuing to make it grow is an opportunity. It's only an opportunity if we take action, right? Just knowing there's an opportunity and understanding it versus what am I doing to actually put it into action, okay? So a good touch campaign, we're going to jump into that. A good touch campaign is going to consist of several types of interactions like we saw in the previous slide. It's face-to-face, it's email, it's handwritten notes, it's social media, it's those texting and we know we need to fill in information for our contacts. So what information do we need? And I've talked about that. Who wants to tell me what information we need to put into our database?
Phone, email, address.
Yep. And their name.
And their name.
Yep. Got it. You nailed it. Pretty basic. Here's another tip. If you know where they work, right? Drop that into your database as well. When I worked with clients, listing and even buyers, but I loved with listings, so exciting to get their home on the market. They're telling their friends and coworkers, and I would deliver a listing packet to their office a lot of times. Okay. Because that's a service. It gets you in the door somewhere. People are excited when they're going through that process, and the opportunity for connections, even if they're not doing it right now, they're going to remember you, right? It's an opportunity to connect with other people. So contact information is important because we want to reach out to them in all those various ways. And a handwritten note that makes a big impact. People aren't doing that nowadays. I'm a huge fan of handwritten notes and thank you notes. And again, when we have a referral, that's a huge thing to do. Shout out people. I had a vendor that came in a couple weeks ago. He took a picture of my thank you note and posted it on his social media and tagged it. So my clients used to do that when I gave them gifts or sent them a thank you for something, called them out. That's a way, that's just passive advertisement for you, right? When you do things like that, people that you're in contact with, they might share that on social and tag you, and that's kind of cool. That's not the reason you're doing it. That is just a side, benefit of it. But doing those handwritten cards, which, I mean, I understand nowadays that kids aren't even learning how cursive, right? Because writing is like so not happening anymore. But yeah, I love doing those notes, and they do make an impact. How do you feel when you get a thank you card for something, or a handwritten note that just said, hey, it was really great to meet you. I enjoyed our conversation. Looking forward to future opportunities, right? So anyhow, it's more expensive and time consuming than an email, but a handwritten card, and it might not be the best information or the best channel if you're giving a lot of information or value. It's really just creating that additional connection of thanks to them. So with email, your sphere of influence has the ability to click on hyperlinks to learn more. So think about that when you're creating your campaigns with your smart plans, or you're adjusting them. You can also put hyperlinks in there, which are great. Attachments, not so much, because a lot of times that'll go to somebody's junk folder. They block it. But if you have a hyperlink embedded within, a lot of times that'll make it through. So that's one, and you could have it go to your own site. You could have it to, your website. But if you're just providing information, you can create like a page for, if you're going to be a neighborhood specialist, for example, you can have a link that clicks to another page that's all about that neighborhood, right? There's a lot of opportunity within that. If you want to be a specialist somewhere or a certain topic, say you're going to be getting into probate or something like that. So whatever it might be. Why do you want to gather personal information?
It makes it easier to connect with them. So, you can send a card or give them a call or shoot them a text. If it's their anniversary, or if it's, their birthday or a kid's birthday, you can, check up on, if their kid is graduating this year, then you can just give yourself a reminder, at the end of June to say, congratulations to so-and-so's graduation. You must be so proud, whatever. I mean, it just gives you opportunities for reaching out and connecting with them that in a way that doesn't have to do with real estate. So you're not always just like sell. And you're like, I am a human too.
Exactly, Nikki. I love that answer. It's so important to be authentic in our relationships, right? Yes. Do we want to help them buy, sell, and invest in real estate? Do we want to help their friends and everybody they know? Of course, but it gets down to it. It's that relationship we have with them. And when we gather those personal information tidbits from them, paying attention to their cues and what they share with us, and asking, don't be afraid to ask questions. People like to talk about themselves. And when you have a genuine interest, keeping those notes, go back to your database and put that in there, because we can't remember, if we have 200 plus people in our database, we can't remember everything all the time. That's what your database is for. Let it do the work for you and trigger reminders and such. But yeah, I mean, when it goes to making calls and that so-and-so's, I do this, so-and-so's grandmother was having surgery. Well, I know the next time I talk to them, I can refer back to that and ask, or they just, we saw on social media, they just adopted a new dog, hey, how's the new puppy doing? Blah, blah, blah. It's creating, it's not all about real estate, like Nikki said. So I love that. So some personal information that you want so that you can do something and add value, like she said, your birthday, anniversary, maybe what their favorite color is, where they're actually from, favorite sports teams, their kids' birthdays, hobbies. Do they like to golf? Do they like to swim? Do they like to hike? So that way, you can actually think about them. You can tag them by sports. If you're on social and you see something, best places to hike 2 hours from Eugene or Portland or something, and you know that you have a group of hikers in your database, you can send that to them. That's something of value specifically for them. It's not real estate related, but hey, they're going to think that's really cool that he remembered I like to hike, and maybe they didn't see that information. And, with somebody's birthday, yeah, send them a card. We all do Facebook. But, I always like to text people, call them, give them a card. I'm not a big Facebook birthday person per se. Hey, I love it when it's my birthday. That's so bad. It's like a special day and everybody does it. I am terrible about, I'm just so busy and I'm terrible about sending it out, but I do like to send texts and things. So, all right, so it's the same with other personal information. Knowing they love to crochet, and again, you see an article, you're going to send it to them. Knowing they have kids, that they're going off to summer camp. We might also like to know if they're a homeowner or a renter. And again, if we get their address, we're able to look that up and find that information out. So again, we know how to market to them specifically. If they're a renter, then we might want to put first-time home buyer information in their focus, right? If somebody has been in a house and you look it up and they've lived there for 8 years, 9 years, is there a potential that they might be selling sometime soon? So you might be able to market to them specifically on, hey, tips for sellers, things like that. Again, not, hey, are you looking to buy, sell, or invest? But it's like, oh, I know that they're in that category that they might be selling. So if I see stuff like that, I'm going to target market them, because then you're that person that's added value to them. And
Real quick, can I ask a question?
absolutely,
How do
Skylar.
we go about finding out if they are a renter or a homeowner?
You can check with title.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
One other thing that I've done too to look that up is I don't know what MLS you are in, Skylar, but RMLS has RPR. And you can actually go into RPR and put the address in there, and it'll show you if that is an owner. Like if it'll show you who the owner is. So obviously if the name matches who your lead is, you'll know that they own the house. And if it doesn't, then
That's
and
helpful.
then also
Thank you.
Arlid. Arlid is what I like to use too.
Arlid. Sweet.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think Arlid is what, 10 or 15 a month? maybe?
10 a month, yeah.
10 a month.
It-
Oh, that's cheap.
It's
Okay.
amazing. You need it anyways. If you write an offer, you're gonna have to check everything in Arlid.
All right. Thanks so much.
Yeah, great question, Skylar, and thank you, Nikki, for jumping in. All right. We are gonna move along. So we've already talked about this a bit, but when you go through your day, so just starting to see your everyday life tasks as opportunities to get into a relationship or closer relationship with people is really going to take you far. It's going to allow you to know how to connect with them. One thing that I did with people on Facebook when I know their family went on vacation, this is whether they were a client, past client, or just a lead. I connected with them on social media. But if they went on a vacation, for instance, they post vacation photos. I had send out cards. And what I would do is I would find a really pretty, cute, fun family photo that they posted. If they posted it, number one, it means they like the picture typically. And it passed, the wife checked off, yeah, I look okay. But I'd find a fun photo and I would send them a card right away, because a lot of people post pictures while they're on vacation. When they got home, it was a welcome home card. Hope you had a great time on vacation. It looks like you had fun. I have some, my sister's going to Disneyland next year or in the springtime. If you have any tips, it's just whatever. You don't even have to ask for anything, but it's just, they loved getting those. I used to get comments all the time. So, and those are.
Are you saying you would add that photo to the card, or you would print
Yeah.
the photo out, or how?
It's a
what
photo card. Send out
Okay.
cards. I forget how much it costs now. It's been a minute since I've done it, but I did that for not just my clients, I did it for other realtor friends. I did it for my allied partners, whatever I saw on social media. And it's just a way to stay in touch with them and add value. And that card oftentimes is put in a frame. It's put on the refrigerator. It's something they keep. And guess what? When they look at that photo, they think of you.
Yeah, that's an awesome idea. I love that.
Yeah. So it's called send out cards. And I love lead generation because it's relationship building is what lead generation is. And do I like cold calling and picking up the phone and calling 100 people a day? Absolutely not. But like Gary says, I do the things you have to do. But lead generation can be so much, and it's like finding what resonates with you. And I'm an in-person, a people person. I loved I could talk for hours on lead gen, so I'm going to try and stay focused so we can finish the task at hand. But there's opportunity. If anybody wants to talk to me about lead gen in the future, let me know. Nikki, I know you and I have had some off topic conversations about that, and it's a lot of fun for me. All right, so what we are going to do, this is, you guys know this, and I'm going to read it just because it just puts it front and center. Do you usually play games on your phone when you're not cheering at your daughter's soccer game? So you go somewhere and people are on their phone, right? You go out to a restaurant and you have a whole family sitting there. They're not talking, they're on their phone, right? This is your career now. So rather than being on your phone, maybe put your phone down and having conversations with people, right? If you're at a soccer game, rather than being on your phone when it's a break or nothing exciting is happening, talk to the people around you, talk to the other parents, make connections that way. Again, they might not be in the market right now, but if you remember, they know people. And they might be in the market a year from now or 2 years from now. And I'm sorry, but in real estate, do we want to work a year from now? Do we need a paycheck 2 years from now? So it's the relationships we build now and foster that are going to keep us in business in the future, right? So another great way is to meet people that have a similar interest, right? If you love basketball, join a neighborhood basketball league. If you enjoy gardening, do something with gardening. Don't, just because somebody else is having a success doing something, you find out what you like to do and then create and be involved in that, because that's when you're going to meet your people, right? If you don't drink wine, don't go to a wine club thinking you're going to have opportunity to connect with people who have, maybe more money or whatever your concept is. Find out what you like and then look at opportunities within your community to get connected. There's so many different groups that get together, volunteer options. So do something that resonates with you and start building relationships there. Real estate's a demanding career, and most careers are. You're starting a new career, so it's really important to have a career you enjoy. You want to align your career with your interests, your values, because those interests and values are what is going to bring you in contact with like-minded people, and they all need a place to live. And even if they're a renter now, we know that eventually they're going to look to buy, right? Mostly. Okay, that's 2/3. 2 out of every 3 adults own a home. Okay, when you look at that statistic, that's a lot. Another great tip to expand your SOI is to wear, we talked about this, wear your Keller Williams. Nikki had her name tag on today. I loved it. She got her new one and it looked great. If you have t-shirts, the Keller shop has great little t-shirts. I like the one Buy Dirt. That's one of my favorites. If you have a baseball cap, you don't have to be in everybody's face. If you want to just do it passively, that's an opportunity. Our team had shirts and different things logoed all the time, and we wore them all day, kind of like a uniform, because it's a passive way to be out and about, and people ask about real estate. Here's another tip. People are going to ask when you're out and about, and I love this. They say, is it a good time to buy? And what do most of us do?
Try to answer the question, say yes, get detailed.
Yeah. Sometimes we say, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And we tell them why. We kind of throw up on them. And instead of doing that, here is an opportunity for you to say, you know, that's a great question. Why do you ask? Find out what their motivation is. Ask more questions, because guess what? If they're only looking to be here for a couple of years, it might not be the best time for them to buy, you know, if they're going to be going somewhere else. Some will say it's always a good time to buy. Well, where our market is right now, you doing your fiduciary duty by asking the right questions rather than just throwing up information on them, that's going to provide trust, right? That's going to give you that opportunity to build trust and find out what their situation really is, so you can answer their questions. And that big question, is it a good time to buy? Well, maybe yes, maybe no, it depends, right? So take that opportunity. Again, when we change the way we look at things, the things you look at change. You no longer have errands. Okay, you have the opportunity to get into a relationship with people and learn how you can help them. And how do we learn? By asking questions, right? That's how we learn how we can help them. Don't assume what they need. It's okay to ask them. And when we discussed lead generation model, we saw that business is going to come from new, repeat, and referral business. Remember that your sphere of influence, you know, those people who know you, your reputation, your professionalism, they're the ones who are most likely going to refer. Okay. And they know a lot of people. There used to be a joke down in Arizona, everybody knows 10 realtors, and it wasn't a joke, it was reality. I mean, you could just ask pretty much anybody and they literally knew a ton of realtors, right? Our communities are small. Springfield, Eugene, I know some of you are up in Portland, you have more, but everybody knows at least a couple of realtors. Do you agree with that? You know, and so getting in a relationship, what makes you different is that relationship piece, and it's how you start your career, how you're professional, the information and the value you bring to them, even if they're not ready to buy now, is going to speak volumes. Again, just because somebody is, you know, a waitress and you, or they work at Walmart and you might think, well, they can't afford to buy, so you're not taking that time to invest in them. Somebody's in front of you, you have opportunity to create a relationship. You never know who they know. You just don't. And I have some stories I could talk about, but to stay on task, let's keep going. You need to be sure your sphere knows that you're a real estate agent. We don't want to be that secret agent. Right? Do we have any shy guys in the room, and guys and girls, but I mean, or do we have shy people here? Deborah, I love that you admitted that. So let me ask you this, what we're talking about here, building relationships, having communication with people, how is that making you feel?
Well, it's uncomfortable, but what I find that helps me a lot is being educated. So knowing how to answer the question, is it the right time to buy? If I know what I'm talking about, then I have an easier time of being able to talk about it.
Mhm.
But it is a huge struggle for me. I am an
Okay.
introvert, shy person. Yep.
Okay. I love that you shared that, and I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but thank you for sharing that, because it does happen. And so knowing how to best support you through this journey is going to be important for your coach and your colleagues. You know, doing script practice is huge. I said that at the beginning of the call of the class. And if you're not doing that, it doesn't have to be on the script call at 8 o'clock. It can be with another person that is going through Ignite. It can be with another agent who might have more experience, you know, just one-on-one. They're happy to help, you know. So, and just doing it with a friend or a partner, a husband, a wife, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a daughter, son, you know, somebody in your world where it's comfortable for you. I hope that helps. And knowing the right answers, I was the same. It's like, I'm not going to open my mouth until I know all the things, right? Because I don't want to give wrong information. I don't want to lose out on a chance. Guess what? If we don't start that conversation, you're not going to have the opportunity, right? And it's okay to say, they asked something and you don't know. You know what? That is a great question. I would love to get your phone number or your email and let me do some research for your neighborhood and I can get that over to you. That's an opportunity. Okay. So we're going to look at some conversation starters and see how simple it is to actually ask. Whoops. And I just clicked it too much. So sorry about that. All right, conversation starters. This should be in your book. I'm building my business on people I know and the people they know. Do you know of anyone of your family and friends through work or your neighborhood that might be thinking of buying or selling or investing in real estate? I would love to be a resource for them. You know, look at those scripts, make it your own. If you hear of somebody who's looking to buy or sell in real estate, I would love if you could keep me in mind and let me know. I'd love to help them. If you add a referral question to every person you connect with, and that's taking it a step further, right, Deborah? Because you're not just in a relationship that's pushing you then to, hey, you know, you might not be looking, but if you know of somebody who is, so it's going that step further. But here's the thing, if you're coming from contribution and you know that you're going to give them a great transaction from start to finish, that's an opportunity you want them to have, right? Because you're going to have their best interest at heart, right? And again, you don't know all the things yet. You never will in real estate, but you're with the best company out there. Gary Keller literally wrote the books on real estate, and you have access to so many amazing top agents and coaches and team leaders, assistant team leaders. You've got a whole team around you to support you. So you're going to get there. So adding that referral question is just a huge thing. What ahas do we have so far, you guys? Any additional?
A small one for me when you're talking about joining groups was a good one. It's people with like similar interests. So it's kind of like it's obviously something that interests you. It's fun. It's going to be something you're going to want to do instead of doing things that may not speak to you per se, you know, things you don't enjoy, which, you know, kind of make it seem more like work.
Right.
If that makes sense.
That makes total sense. Yeah. So, you know, one of my superpowers was happiness hours in Arizona, because they were wonderful. They started like at noon. And, you know, so yeah, happy hours, just connecting with people in different environments. And so that's something that was fun. And I got a lot of opportunity through that. It's a matter of, again, getting out of that shell that no matter where you are, there's an opportunity if you're looking for it, right? If you're open and you're open to having conversation, but being specific with wanting to join a group because you think there's opportunity there versus joining a group because it's something you enjoy, huge difference, right? Staying in your authenticity is going to bring you further in real estate than anything else. If you like dogs, but not children, then don't do any volunteer work with kids. Go, you know, dog people, cat people, whatever that is, you know, they're awesome. You're going to have your opportunity. Don't try to be somebody you're not. Thank you for sharing that, Danielle. I'm glad that hit you. Anybody else? All right, we're going to move on. Lead gen best practices. Okay, so tracking your lead sources. Keep track of where your leads are coming from and audit your lead sources to determine where your top lead sources are. Where are those best sources coming from? Again, it's best practice not to have one, not to have five, but have 3, and then track where those are coming from. Is it from my sphere? Is it from doing open houses? Is it from social media marketing? You know, where are you getting your leads from? Diversify your database. This is key. and staying in alignment with, yes, I'm spending time in this group or that group because I want to work with people I like and I want to stay in authenticity. You also need to diversify your database. Okay. And that means just being open to clients and opportunities that are going to allow for future growth. So diversity is just not one thing. It's not just race. It's what makes each of us unique. So it's about our cultural backgrounds, experiences, personalities, and beliefs. It includes race, nationality, gender, physical and mental ability, spiritual and religious beliefs, class, sexual orientation, and more. You know, it's just very diverse. Diverse database and sphere of influence is going to prepare your business for changes in the market. Okay, and are we going through a market change right now? Yes or yes. So with that, when you have, I mean, what would it look like if you were only relying, as a lot of agents who got in the last just couple of years, they have been relying just on their sphere of influence as the sole, that's a one, right? Just my sphere of influence. And now with the shift in the market, they don't have a diversified pool of leads to connect with or have opportunities with. Okay. The diverse database is going to prepare for the market changes, and the broader and more inclusive your client pool is, the more ready you're going to be for future changes in demographic shifts within the real estate industry. And the other key thing, best practice, is being consistent. And we've talked about that with our time blocking. Okay, so that's the next sheet that you have. This is one best practice, probably the biggest best practice I will tell you, is time blocking your lead generation and protecting that. Okay. How will you ensure that your lead generation time is a priority? Have you been making that part of your daily success system? Are you guys working on your lead gen? Top agents, including Gary Keller, he's going to time block and lead generation first. Most agents do it at the beginning of the day. They also do it for at least 3 hours per day. Doesn't necessarily mean just cold calling and being on the phone. It can be going to events, you know, being directly in front of people as a lead generation activity. If you're just not going to, you know, go golfing and have beers with somebody all the time, you're actually purposeful about that and you make that part of your lead gen activity. It's best to schedule your lead gen time to take action on your job before anything else. Okay. Real estate, is it a hobby or is this your career? Are you building an actual career? Okay. If we had a 9-to-5, would we just say, oh yeah, I don't want to go in just yet. I'm going to go in at noon and then I'll start my job. Would you have that job for very long? Probably not. So, and there's a difference between a job and a career. You know, we want you, go ahead, Daniel.
Sorry, while I'm thinking about it, is there like, my thought is, and maybe I'm overthinking it, is there like a best time to make calls? Like, I don't want to call them too early and wake them up. I also don't want to spoil their dinner. You know what I mean? Is there like a good best time block to do this?
Most agents are going to be doing it between like 9 and 11 or 9 to noon. And then again in the afternoon from like 4 to 6, 4 to 7. And again, it depends on what your lead generation is. If you're talking about calls, yeah. When it comes to actual phone calls, that's your best time. And really it is, you know, when I talk about that lead generation, you have your lead generation and then you have your follow-up, right? Lead generation is really focusing on making those calls to people with a value, a reason. If you haven't called your database yet to let them know what you're doing or where you're at, that you're with Keller Williams, it's an opportunity for you to get your database dialed in. And as you go through future Ignite classes here in the upcoming weeks, you're going to have opportunity to do that, to call everyone in your database with something and make that initial connection. So that 9 to 12 or 4 to 7, some people, I have agents that actually wait and call on the weekends. They call on Sundays because Saturdays are family days. They're out doing sports and grocery shopping, Costco, all that. And so a lot of them will call on Sunday. So, but again, on that, we want to make sure that we are being TCPA compliant. So I'm going to throw that in. All right. So with that, to make it most successful, you want to prepare your mindset. You want to practice. That's what we're calling about. You don't want to just start calling people and that's your practice time. You want to do it ahead of time. Work through your scripts, put your call list together, and then track it. This isn't in here right now, but track that. How many calls are you making? How many conversations are you having so that you know what your numbers are and hey, I want to get 2 appointments. So it looks like I have to make 100 calls and I have to have 30 conversations to get 2 appointments. Pretty soon as you track that, you'll know what your numbers are and you'll know what you need to do on a consistent basis. Okay. You want to maintain your database and you want to follow up. Right? Follow up on any commitments that you've made. If you've had a conversation and you've shared that you're going to follow up with a CMA or a neighborhood update, something like that, you want to be sure that you are following up with them. Okay. Lead generation is hands down, without a doubt, no competition, your number one most important thing to do in order to be successful. Have I said that yet? I know you've heard it many, many times because it really, really is that foundational item. It's something that you're always going to do. It is the most important. You really have to mark off that time block it, protect it. There are 4 key things you can do to protect your lead generation time once you set it. Building a bunker. So find somewhere that takes you out of the path of disruption and interruption. Okay, whether you have a home office, whether you're going into the office to use the space, wherever it might be, but make sure that you've created that little bunker for yourself that you're not going to be interrupted. The other thing, storing provisions. That means you have your supplies, your materials, snacks, beverages on hand, whatever you need. So you're really not leaving. It's a very focused time. Okay. Sweeping for minds. That means anything that will distract you or take you off your focus. So turning off your phone, shutting down your email, exiting all your other browsers, whatever is a distraction to you so that you can get very clear and focused on making those calls, setting up the emails, whatever it is that you're doing, sending out mass text that day, posting on social, which is really not, that's more prospecting. And it's a passive way to do that because it's more marketing, right? And you also want to enlist support and tell those that are most likely to seek you out during that time what you're doing and when you'll be available. We all want to be there to help those that we need to. I shut my door now. I've made a commitment to my team, what my lead gen looks like. And I've made a commitment and I shut my door and I do my lead gen every day, right? Because it is, even for me as a team leader, you have to do your lead gen and be in conversation. Who's going to help you? Who's going to support you with that? So yeah, as we wrap up this session, I want to do a quick review and capture any more ahas because we've talked a lot about what you're doing to lead generate, what you're already doing, and then the opportunity to work it into your everyday routine and time block it. Okay, so how is your mindset now about lead generation? Has anything changed for you since this session?
I've never had an issue calling people. I've been in sales a long time. I think the thing that it kind of stood out today is like, put it in your calendar. That's like one of the things that does not move, does not change. I mean, obviously in a medical emergency or something with family, that's something you don't want to like push off and do something else.
Sure. Yep. Thanks for sharing. So putting it in your calendar and then yes, protecting it. Anyone else want to share? All right. So here's another question. What would you say your call to action is after going through this session today? That means what is your to-do? What are you going to add to your to-do list? And I think Daniel already answered that with his ahas. I'm actually going to time block it. So would you consider that, Daniel, a to-do? I'm going to look at my calendar and I'm going to find that space and that window, and I'm going to put lead gen in my calendar.
You definitely, because I mean, I'm still, like, I'm a new agent, so I'm still working. And so like today I only did 5 contacts instead of 10. So, I need to just make sure I get in what I need to do every single day and figure out work from there. Because I'm not like an employee, I can work that around. So
Great.
that would make it just time block it and do it, period. No excuses.
Good. I love it. I'll look forward to hearing how you've been successful with that. All right. How about, we talked at the beginning, just creating that database. So updating your Excel file or whatever you're using, getting all those people in there so you can get it imported. Okay, because we're at that opportunity phase to get as many people in so the magic happens and everybody gets uploaded. And then as you get new ones, you'll start doing those manually. Okay. So and then when you have them in your database, maybe a to-do is actually making those calls. And if you have somebody that you just have a phone number for in your phone, call them up or text them and ask for their email address, right? So if you only have partial information, it's an opportunity to get more information. And then there's also maybe opportunity and an awareness to expand your relationships with those casual acquaintance people. Okay. Start building a stronger relationship and then also converting them to be able to put them in your database. And also who thinks that they might seek out joining a group or volunteering somewhere, start making connections in person? Awesome. Great. Do you guys want to share what avenue or where you're looking to go?
I have been a part of the Springfield Education Foundation for a really long time, and they've asked me to be on their board almost every year, and every year I say no. So I think I'm going to take them up on it this year. So that'll be an awesome source of connections for me.
That's a fantastic opportunity, Nikki. And
it's something that means something to me because all 5 of our daughters have gone to school in Springfield. And so it's why we're a part of it and have been a part of it, because it's important to us. So
yeah, so that resonates with you. It's very authentic for you, and they've wanted you, they've invited you. I think that's amazing. So I'm really glad that you feel that you're at a space in your life and your career. You have that balance and that time that you're able to do that, because I think that's going to be good for you. Even if you don't get a real estate deal out of it, it's going to be good for you and bring you joy. So that's important. How about you, Daniel?
Yeah, I'm a big dog lover. I have 2 teenage boys, and I think I like my dog better at this point of their lives. So I was thinking about maybe volunteering at the local SPCA or something like that, Humane Society. And then also something that popped in my mind was like my grandfather started a insurance brokerage, and my uncle took it over. And I just remember going like to the Rotary Club with them. So I was
Mm.
looking into maybe like the local Rotary Club here in Portland, if those things even still exist. I'm not sure.
They do actually, because I've met some agents here when I've been out and about at events, and yeah, one of them actually leads the Rotary here. So yeah, it's still up and going. Good. Awesome. You guys have been wonderful. And guess what? We're right at, well, it's 3:01. So I was a little bit nervous because this is a lot bigger than the last Ignite class that I taught. And I was afraid I was going to go over, but I think we ended it just on time. And I'm just excited for each of you and where you're at. And I know the different levels. I know some of you are new to KW, some of you are brand new agents. And I love that you guys are learning the foundational pieces of what it looks like to build a solid career in real estate. So we're happy to have you here. And if there's anything else you'd like to share, or any other ahas, I would love to hear from you. All right. Great. All right, well, you guys have your daily success. So I will leave you with putting together your plan and holding yourselves accountable to the things that we just talked about as far as time blocking, getting your databases up and running, and looking forward to seeing you guys in the future. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye, Serena.